I've always known I wanted to be a mother. Ever since I was a little girl clutching my dolls, pretending to rock them to sleep, I felt it in my bones. That quiet, gentle pull toward motherhood. I imagined the giggles echoing through a warm kitchen, the smell of baby lotion, tiny socks on the laundry line. Some girls dreamed of wedding dresses and fairy tale romances. I dreamed of lullabies and bedtime stories. But dreams, as I learned, don't always come easy. After 4 years of trying, 2 miscarriages, and countless doctor visits, I had almost resigned myself to the ache of a life without a child. I smiled at baby showers, bought onesies for friends, and told myself it was enough. That maybe I was meant to be the beloved aunt, the supportive godmother. I didn't say it out loud, but the grief sat under my skin like a bruise that never healed. Then came the Tuesday morning that changed everything. I was late. Not just a few days late, but a full week. I didn't want to hope. I couldn't. I had a whole drawer full of negative tests, each one more heartbreaking than the last. But something about that morning felt different. The sky was pale and clear, and my heart thudded like a drumbeat. So I took the test, pacing the bathroom like a nervous animal. When the second line appeared, faint but unmistakable, I dropped to the floor. I wept, covering my mouth with both hands. I was shaking when I called my husband, Aaron, who answered. "On the first ring, are you okay?" he asked, alarmed. I could barely get the words out. "Aaron, I'm pregnant." There was silence on the line, then the sound of him crying. We stayed on the phone for 10 full minutes, laughing and sobbing and repeating the words over and over. "We're having a baby." From that moment, everything changed. Pregnancy was both magical and terrifying. Every twitch, every ache made me panic. But slowly, cautiously, I let myself dream. I bought a tiny pair of yellow booties. I painted the nursery walls the softest shade of mint. Aaron read baby books out loud at night, practicing silly voices and laughing when the baby kicked. The day we found out we were having a boy, I cried again. I pictured him with Aaron's warm brown eyes and my crooked smile. We named him early. Caleb. It just felt right. Caleb James, our miracle. When he was born, the world split open with light. It was a snowy evening in February, and everything felt like a movie. I remember the moment they placed him on my chest. Warm, slippery, squirming. He blinked up at me with this serious little face, and it was as if I'd known him forever. I whispered, "Hi, Caleb," and he blinked again, like he understood. Aaron couldn't stop crying. He kissed both of us, then took a million pictures with shaking hands. We were exhausted, delirious with love. I didn't sleep that first night. I just held him and watched the snow fall outside the hospital window, thinking, this is it. This is happiness. The weeks that followed were a blur of diapers, feedings, and wonder. Every little coo, every yawn, every stretch of his tiny fingers felt sacred. I sang to him constantly. "You Are My Sunshine" became our anthem. Caleb would quiet the moment he heard it, as if he knew I meant every word. We weren't rich. Aaron was a high school teacher, and I worked part-time at the library, but none of that mattered. Caleb was healthy, happy, hitting every milestone. He laughed early, this deep, joyous belly laugh that made everyone around him smile. Strangers in grocery stores would stop just to say how beautiful he was. I'd catch Aaron sometimes, just staring at Caleb like he couldn't believe he was real. "Can you imagine?" he whispered one night. "We almost gave up." I couldn't imagine anything else. On Caleb's first birthday, we threw a small party. Just family and a few close friends. There was a cake with a lion on it, balloons in, every color, and a candle that he tried to grab before we could stop him. He wore a tiny crown that said 1 and smeared frosting all over his face. We took a family photo in the backyard, Caleb squinting in the winter sun, his cheeks pink from the cold. I remember looking at that picture the next day and thinking, I've never been this happy. I didn't know that photo would become the last image of our family whole and untouched, but I'll get there. For now, all I knew was joy, the quiet, everyday kind. Pajamas with duck prints. Bedtime books read 3 times in a row. That soft spot behind his ear where he liked to be kissed. Caleb was everything. My heart, walking outside my body. I had no idea what was coming. But if I'd known, if someone had whispered it to me during those quiet nights when I watched him sleep, I don't know what I would have done. All I know is I wouldn't have loved him less. Not for 1 second. It started with the fevers. Small. Ones at first, low grade, nothing dramatic. We chalked it up to teething, or maybe the flu season. Caleb had always been sturdy, resilient. He bounced back from colds quickly, but this time was different. He became clingier. He whimpered in his sleep. His appetite dropped. I remember one afternoon in March, just a few weeks after his birthday. I offered him his favorite, mashed banana with cinnamon. He took 1 bite and pushed the spoon away, tears welling in his eyes. I felt a tremor of fear, small but real. Aaron tried to reassure me. "Babies have off days," he said, rubbing my back. "Let's just call the pediatrician tomorrow." We did. Dr. Ellis saw him the next day and ran a few basic tests. "Probably a virus," she said, though she frowned slightly at Caleb's weight loss. "Let's monitor it." A week passed, then another. Caleb's skin turned paler. He grew tired more quickly, uninterested in his toys. He cried more often and sometimes, most terrifyingly, not at all. He would just stare blankly, eyes glassy, as if retreating inward. We returned to Dr. Ellis. More tests, blood work, a referral to a specialist. The call came on a Thursday afternoon. I had just settled Caleb down for a nap when the phone rang. "Whitaker," the voice on the other end said. "We need you to bring Caleb in as soon as possible. Today." My throat closed. Why? What's going on? There were abnormalities in his blood panel. "We want to run some urgent follow-up tests." That night was a blur of hospital corridors, IVs, and hushed voices. Caleb screamed when they drew blood, his tiny fists shaking. I held him, whispering soothing nonsense, heart pounding. After 2 days of tests and specialists, we were ushered into a small room with beige walls and a fake plant in the corner. A pediatric oncologist sat across from us. Her name was Dr. McKinney. She had kind eyes, but they held sorrow. "I'm so sorry," she began. "Caleb has a rare genetic condition. It's called Krabbe disease." I blinked. "What is that?" she explained. "A degenerative disorder. No cure. Progressively damaging to the nervous system. Most children with the infantile form don't live past 2. The words didn't land at first. They floated in the air, absurd and foreign. Aaron asked, "What do we do? There's treatment, right? A transplant? Medication?" She hesitated. "There's palliative care. We can manage his pain, keep him comfortable. But the disease has already progressed significantly." I felt like the floor had disappeared, like I was falling through the center of the earth. "No," I whispered. "There has to be something else. You don't understand. He's our only child." Dr. McKinney reached across the desk and gently squeezed my hand. "I'm so sorry. We drove home in silence. Caleb slept in the back seat, clutching his stuffed elephant. I turned around every few minutes just to see him breathe. That night, Aaron collapsed onto the kitchen floor and wept. I held him. Then I went to Caleb's room, climbed into the crib, and lay beside him. I stayed there until morning. The days that followed were a blur. We learned to give him medications. We had nurses come to the house. He lost his ability to sit up, then to crawl. His laughter disappeared. The silence in the house became a kind of scream. I sang "You Are My Sunshine" every day, even as my voice cracked. Caleb's eyes still followed me, even when his body no longer could. Aaron took a leave from work. We tried to fill each day with softness, quiet walks, music, scented baths, bedtime stories whispered into a still room. We took hundreds of pictures, though I couldn't bear to look at them. Friends brought food. My sister flew in from Oregon. Everyone was kind, but no one knew what to say. Sometimes I wish they'd just scream with me or break something. The grief was too big for casseroles. We planned his second birthday in advance, even though we were told he likely wouldn't make it. I refused to believe that. I needed to plan something. Anything. Each day I woke with dread, and each night I fell asleep praying, just one more day. Just one more. There's a silence that descends after a child dies. It's not the kind you hear at night when the world goes to sleep, nor the kind that follows a moment of reverence or prayer. This silence is heavier, thicker. It crawls into your bones and takes residence in your chest, replacing every heartbeat with ache. After Caleb passed, our house became a museum of grief. Every room whispered his name. His toys sat untouched. His baby blanket still smelled like his skin, like the baby soap we used after every bath, the one he used to splash in with so much joy. His crib was empty, but I couldn't bring myself to dismantle it. It felt like if I did, I'd be erasing him. I remember the nurse's face when she said, "He's gone." I remember the way Aaron fell to his knees beside the hospital bed, his forehead pressed to the mattress as if praying. I remember screaming, not just once, but over and over, like my soul couldn't accept what my mind already knew. I wanted to crawl into that hospital bed and take Caleb in my arms and say, "Wake up, baby. Just wake up." But he never would again. We had hoped. God, we hoped. After his diagnosis, we threw ourselves into research. Batten disease. It sounded so clinical, almost sterile, but what it did to our son was anything but. It robbed him slowly. First his vision, then his movement, then his ability to speak. In the end, even breathing was a battle. Aaron read every journal, emailed every specialist, joined every forum. I took time off work. My life became one long stretch of caretaking, feeding, changing, soothing, holding. Sometimes he would scream for hours without reason, his body arched in pain, and we would rock him until our arms went numb. And yet, even in those months of horror, we had moments. Caleb would laugh sometimes, this wheezy, half-choked laugh, when Aaron made his Donald Duck voice. One morning, he pressed his little hand to my cheek and looked straight into my eyes. Really looked. I swear he said "Mama" again, even if just a whisper. Those were the fragments we clung to. A touch, a blink, a breath. Then, one night, he simply didn't wake up. I checked on him at 3:12 a.m., and he was still breathing. By 4:45, he was gone. The funeral was surreal. I don't remember the flowers. I don't remember who spoke. I just remember the tiny white casket and the sound of my mother sobbing behind me. I remember Aaron holding my hand so tightly I thought it might break. I remember wanting to scream at everyone who told us, "He's in a better place." No. The better place was here. With us, I stopped going outside. I stopped answering calls. Food lost its taste. Sunlight burned. I couldn't understand how the world had the audacity to keep spinning, how people could complain about traffic or weather or politics while our baby was 6 feet under. I stopped sleeping in our bed. I would curl up in Liam's nursery, on the floor beside his crib, holding his favorite plush giraffe. Aaron tried to coax me out. He brought me tea. He begged me to talk. But every word felt like a betrayal. How could I speak of my son in past tense? One night, I woke up to find Aaron sitting on the porch alone, crying silently. It broke me, because grief wasn't just mine. It was his too. And we were drowning in it, each in our own isolated oceans. That night, I finally climbed back into our bed. I took his hand. We didn't speak. We didn't have to. Grief counseling was something we avoided for a long time. I was skeptical. Talking wouldn't bring Caleb back. But our marriage was beginning to strain. Aaron started going back to work. I resented him for that. For having the strength I didn't. Eventually, at the urging of our pediatrician, we went to a support group for bereaved parents. I thought I would hate it. But there, I met mothers who understood. One woman had lost her daughter to leukemia. Another had a son who drowned. And as I sat in that dimly lit church basement and listened to their stories, I cried for them. And for the first time, I let someone else cry for me. Aaron and I didn't speak in the first few sessions. But we held hands. We listened. And we began to realize that we weren't alone in this nightmare, that others had survived it, that maybe, just maybe, we could too. A year passed. Then 2. The house remained quiet, but not hauntingly so. I returned to work part-time. Aaron and I took up gardening, planting tulips in the spring, sunflowers in the summer. It gave us something to nurture. We talked about Caleb every day, sometimes with tears, sometimes with smiles. And then, one evening, out of nowhere, Aaron said, "Do you ever think about trying again?" My breath caught. He continued softly, "Not to replace him. Never. But to love again. Differently." I didn't respond right away. I walked into Liam's nursery, which we hadn't touched. I sat by the window and watched the breeze move through the curtains. I remembered his giggle, his little socks, the way he clung to my shirt when he was scared. Could I go through that again? The love and the risk? Maybe love isn't meant to be safe. A month later, we started trying. Not because we had healed. Grief like this doesn't vanish, but because we had learned to carry it. And in the weight of it, there was space for more. Our second child, a girl named Eliza, was born 2 years and 3 months after Caleb died. I won't lie, it was terrifying. Every kick, every checkup, every hour she slept too long, I panicked. I'd hover over her crib at night with a flashlight just to see her chest rise and fall. Aaron would tease me gently, but I saw the same fear in his eyes. But Eliza thrived. She had Caleb's eyes, my smile, Aaron's stubbornness, and a laugh that could part clouds. We didn't hide Caleb from her. His pictures hung on the walls. We told her he was her big brother in heaven. As she grew, she'd point to his photos and say, "That's Caleb. He's watching us." And I believed her. Now, it's been 6 years. Eliza just started kindergarten. She loves space, dinosaurs, and drawing lopsided cats. Aaron and I still visit Caleb's grave every Sunday. We bring sunflowers. We sit and talk. Sometimes we cry, but more often, we just remember. People say time heals. That's not quite true. Time doesn't erase. It doesn't fix. It teaches you to live with the hole in your heart, to stitch around it, to love around it. Caleb is gone. And yet he isn't. He's in the lullabies I hum to Eliza, in the way Aaron holds her like porcelain, in the strength I didn't know I had, but found. In the fire of loss, I'm still a mother of 2, one on earth, one in the stars, and I will carry them both all